I am, for some reason, putting this as part of the video, which ironically I'm going to edit using the same DaVinci Resolve tool that I just used to edit the... For some reason my click and drag isn't doing the thing that I want it to all of the time. Like, I don't know if it was an OS X update or if I just like forgot how to use a trackpad. Super annoying. You're about to witness that as part of the screen recording. So I know I showed you the video that I made for Thomas, but Thomas can clip up his own videos. Or more realistically, not clip them up, because Thomas just doesn't bother to post content ever. I'm going to clip up content for myself. So the first thing that we did, we dragged the media onto the media pool. We dragged it down onto the timeline. So now we have this video here that we're editing. Obviously, while horizontal video used to be superior because we would put it on TVs and whatnot, now everybody views things mostly on their phone, and with the rise of mobile, it's more apt to use vertical resolution. In order to achieve that in DaVinci Resolve, we're going to go File, Project Settings. We're going to tell it to use vertical resolution. We're not going to change timeline resolution because that's just fine. And now we have this lovely, pretty well framed. It's not entirely perfect, and so what we're going to do now, we're going to select the timeline here. We're going to open the inspector window, which regardless of your operating system is indicated by this wrench and I guess paintbrush. Video transform. We are going to, I do want to position it a little bit. Okay, so as we drag left and right, you can see we position this appropriately. And then I'm pretty static on stage. If I were not so static on stage, one option would be to use this AI Smart Reframe. I want to do that after I zoom. First, I'll zoom in on myself a little bit, position myself in the center of the screen. The primates that are human beings that I intend to watch these videos like faces. They like the faces to be big, so it seems to work better if we're zoomed all the way in. Object of interest auto is pretty good. Object of interest reference point is often a little bit better. We're going to do object of interest auto, and we're going to see what happens. We will smart reframe. The first time that you do this, it takes quite a bit longer after you've done it at least once. I don't know, your OS is warmed up. Everything takes longer when we're screen recording too. I learned that just a second ago, actually. The exports of the clips for Kaiser, Jonathan, and Alex were quite a bit faster than the export of the clip for Thomas, because when I was doing Thomas's export, of course, I was recording the screen. I don't know, you guys want to talk about Lord of the Rings or something? That could be kind of cool. This isn't taking too long. Ultimately, we may just end up undoing this, which sometimes doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, then I just close the product in frustration. It's like when you just delete your Git directory. If you're you see this? You see this? Look at this. This is asinine. See this? Object of interest auto. The most interesting thing going on, of course, is that nice, tightly focused speaker in the top right. I am glad that didn't work. That was kind of cute. So instead of that, we're going to do reference point. We are going to say that my shirt is the thing on which to reframe. So the Lord of the Rings is presented as this tale of how good triumphs over evil, of how humility triumphs over ambition, of how all that is right with the world inevitably receives assistance from God. And that's garbage. I think that it's actually the story of how an elvish conspiracy led by the traitor Mithrandir, who everyone calls Gandalf, and his diminutive allies conspire with an exiled, disgraced politician, the Ranger Strider, to overthrow the duly appointed steward of Gondor and perpetuate hostilities between Mordor and Gondor, thereby ultimately overthrowing the legitimate ruler of the so-called Black Lands. Join me and let's see how deep the Hobbit hole goes. That's going to be for a different video. For this video, all we did was we smart reframed, and now it looks pretty good. You know, my face stays in frame, my head stays in frame. like I said, that's what the primate's like. And so this is going to be pretty good for a first pass. The next thing that we're going to need to do, of course, is get our subtitles on there. This is where DaVinci really shines. Back before we had AI subtitling, we had to do things manually. I don't know if any of you ever tried to do that, but it was damn near impossible. So we're going to do AI tools, create subtitles from audio. We're going to automatically detect the language. I like 18 characters per line. I also like 12 characters per line. Double lines means that we got a little more space for that 12 character line to pick things up. That ends up working out. Play with this, do 18 characters, do single lines, figure out what's going to work for you. Sometimes that's kind of stupid and it wants an in and out mark. Even if you're doing the whole thing, you can do an in mark at the beginning of the video and out mark at the end of the video. In the newer versions, it hasn't had any trouble with that. And again, we're using the M1 chip to record the screen, so this takes longer than it needs to. It's usually pretty snappy. I guess this is still plenty of time. Plenty quick enough. Whatever. So now we get in here and we can see that we've got pretty good subtitles here. It's almost always perfect. My name is Kaiser Lieb. It'll infer that as Kaiser Lee, things like that. So it is important to go through the videos as you're exporting them and make sure that everything ends up working out. All of this was screwing around. This part of the video, I was like riffing on stuff that had happened before, so it's funny, but it's only funny in context. If you saw Alex Speed complained that Kyle Kulseth had done the joke, and then Alex Kaufman go up and say the same opening to the joke about I'm aging, and then I say I'm aging, ha ha ha, ha. Everybody laughs. This is a riff on Christopher. Anyway, doesn't fucking matter. That's a pretty good line, though. David Friedman is the Brian Herbert of economics. You guys, that's so smart. So this is a Star Wars joke. I like this because Star Wars is going really well for me lately. So let's come over here. We're going to come into the track. We're going to say we want to start here at the beginning of this line. And so that's going to be our in mark. I like Open Sans as a font, but I like it to be extra bold. I place a black stroke outside only. 5 pixels. Turn on a drop shadow. Let's offset it a little bit to the right, a little bit down. And that just helps the letters stand out a little bit from the background in case the background is a little bit too white. And then we leave it centered, but we bring the Y component up so that our subtitles are higher up. We watch the video, and okay. Everybody's laughing, but they're laughing for no reason. I'll leave it, whatever. Sometimes it can make sense to cut laughs if the laughs don't really make any sense. In the interest of time, we're just going to do one cut. To palpate him. Chance was like, hold on, I got an idea. See, that joke is because when you palpate a contusion to see whether it's tender, you touch it, and Palpatine is the name of the Chancellor and later Emperor in Star Wars. Okay, we come back through here. I'm going to delete every place where the subtitle says audience laughs. During the Clone Wars. And it's so weird how sometimes DaVinci picks up and says, yes, this is a laugh, sometimes it doesn't. It does tend to be more vigorous laughter that results in those. We come over to our Deliver tab. We say, let's add a Reels folder inside of this. Yeah, this is a useful thing that you should show people as part of this video, Kaiser. And we're going to go palpate in. Everybody gets it. MP4 because I get nervous, even though this is an OS X machine, it should be fine, whatever. The big thing here is that we go down to our subtitle setting. We say export subtitle, and we're going to say export burn into video. that way when we go to upload it to Instagram and YouTube, we get our subtitles in there in a format that it's able to pick up. So we're going to go add to render queue. We're going to come in here. We're going to render all. We're going to wait as it takes forever because obviously screen recording. Cool, we have a video. Let's reveal in Finder. Let's look at it, verify that it worked. I think it might be trying to use my microphone as a speaker. That would be stupid. But in any case, this came out okay. You know, it's a little bit low resolution. I wasn't using a zoom lens on the Canon. It's the same video that I'm recording with here. And so in order to get the face big, we had to zoom in. I think it still looks acceptable. We can upload this. So now let's take and look at, you can close the video now. Like that is all you need to do. Don't overthink it. Don't do any more than that. These are your first couple of videos. Just upload exactly what we just did. Don't upload my videos. Do this to your videos, probably that I've sent you, maybe that you've captured yourself, whatever. This next one we're going to take and we're going to do a few more cuts with it. So we're going to start with Obi-Wan because starting with the name of the character resonates emotionally. It grabs people so that they keep watching the video. Obi-Wan went to a restaurant. Okay, so we can see in the waveform for the sound that there's no laughter down here, and I'm not saying anything down here. I'm going to hit Command B. That's our blade tool. That's going to slice any components of our timeline here. We're going to do another Command B here, and I'm just going to delete that section of the video. Right? That speeds it up a little bit. So we say Obi-Wan went to a restaurant, and he said, "I'll have 2 of the bantha kebabs and some of that green milk." Okay, this is another space where there's no laughter. We can speed it up. Don't do that for a festival submission, by the way. Don't do that for a booking tape. This is only for Instagram Reels. And that was the Jedi Order. Ha 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 ha. Audience laughs. We're gonna leave that in there. Took them a second. And then we can play with like how much of that laughter we want. I think we'll keep that. And we'll call that good. We'll call that the Jedi Order. Add to the render queue. We'll render that in the same spot. I'm going to do the rendering after we're no longer recording because it's going to take an inordinate amount of time. What's the next thing we want to show you? We want to show you what it looks like to do some zooms. So we're going to come in here and we're going to say the early bird gets the worm. We're going to blade these out. And then we're going to say, but the early worm is gotten by the bird. But the early worm is gotten by the bird. Yeah, that can be the whole thing. So I did the blade tool again, right? So the early bird gets the worm. The early worm is gotten by the bird. We are going to zoom this in even further. Lift the Y component, right? Early bird gets the worm, but the early worm is gotten by the bird. The reason that it's doing that is because it's trying to come back to the AI Smart reframe, right? So we are going to reset the transformation on that part of the clip entirely. We're going to come in here. We're going to zoom in. We're going to position so that I'm in the middle, right? We're going to position up a little bit. So we just kind of have to undo the entire thing because we're no longer taking advantage of the same zoom level and smart reframe that we had done originally. We want a different zoom level. We don't have to be smart with the reframe because ideally our subject hasn't moved around that much. The reason that we do this zoom is so that people stay in it longer, right? It's like, oh, hey, something is happening, right? There are things that you can do with keyframes, and you can have a zoom over time, a zoom in, zoom out, right? For for the purposes of this video, we're teaching you to do things step by step, right? Let's do the easiest thing first. Easiest thing is we're going to take a blade cut, we're going to zoom in, we're going to zoom back out after that blade cut, right? They do laugh here. It's not as heavy as a real punchline. So before you set your alarm, you should think about which of those two things you are. Right? Everybody laughs. And there are a couple of different, like, we can go to different lengths with this joke. I've got a lot of places where I can say, you know, we can cut after the early bird is gotten by the worm, or the early worm is gotten by the bird. Ha 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 ha, everybody laughs. So before you set your alarm, you should think about which of those two things you are. That gets quite a bit better laugh. It's also a little bit longer, so it's going to grab people for a little bit longer. Your total watch time is going to be a little bit higher. The algorithm's going to push it a little bit more. So we're going to call this one early worm. Hey, stop it. Early worm short. We're still burn into video. We're going to add that to our render queue. We're going to come back in here, and then we're going to say, you know, maybe people are a little bit bored, so we'll blade and blade. Turn the transform off, back on. We're gonna actually do that as just a zoom out, right? Try to be realistic about it, because the consequences are, in one case you get eaten and escape your miserable existence, and in the other case you have to eat a worm. Ha 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 ha, everybody laughs. And we're gonna call that one early worm long. Add to render queue. Cool. That's really it, other than I guess I could show you keyframing the zooms. Okay. When I was a kid, I thought that I was really good at chess. Okay. Turns out that I was just the older brother. That one's nice because it is short, it hits fast. The thing that is less nice about it is that we don't have a lot of different things that we can do with the length, and so we're not going to be able to experiment with which one of these lengths works better on our trial reels. We're just going to have to go with that. What was I showing you? I was showing you the keyframing with the zooms. So we're going to come in here. I want to zoom in. So we're going to reset our transform so that we have no transformation. Over here we have a zoom of 215, position X of 191. Zoom 215, position X 191. 19, give it a little bit of a break. Call it 217. Cool. So we're going to set a keyframe at the beginning of that cut. Actually, we're just going to do the zoom the whole thing. So we set that keyframe at the beginning for 215, position X 217. So we do get a little bit of a jump there. That'll give some visual interest. We're going to come to the end of, turns out that we're going to do another keyframe for this. This will happen automatically, right? Right, and that'll be our out keyframe. So we come back to the beginning of the joke so that you can see what the effect looks like. When I was a kid, I thought that I was really good at chess, but it turns out that I was just the older brother. And I, of course, screwed that up entirely. I have no idea what I'm doing, guys. Why is it like this? Because I did not set my keyframe on the initial zoom level. So I'm going to go back to 2.5 what do we say, 2.15? Why are you still watching this? I clearly have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Position X 190. 190. Okay, so with that initial keyframe set more appropriately, really good at chess, but it turns out that I was just the older brother. Okay, that gives us a little bit of visual interest. Doing too much of that is actually no good. People don't like it as much. Doing decorated subtitles doesn't seem to make that much of a difference. Doing the emojis and the text overlays. Maybe it's just that I'm bad at comedy, and that's why I'm not going viral on Instagram. I also realize that I haven't actually shown you how to do that zoom piece, but I don't think you should do it. So.